This maybe is one of the most controversial aspects of recovery today. The discussion between whether somebody can be recovered or is constantly recovering is a subject that is discussed in meetings worldwide. If we go all the way back to the first page of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, we get a clue as to what our founders believed. It says this is the story of how many thousands of men and women have recovered from alcoholism. Our founders considered themselves recovered from a hopeless state of mind and body. They did not consider themselves recovering. We at Came to Believe Recovery not only support that position, but live it ourselves. I identify as a recovered alcoholic. Certainly recovering has some appeal in some circles. I don't know which. I don't want to be recovering the rest of my life. I want to be recovered. At Came to Believe Recovery, you can take the steps in a weekend, just like the founders did. And you too can be recovered. What are you waiting for? This is Tom from Recovery Live, and I am a recovered alcoholic, as you saw in that video just there. Came to Believe Recovery do take you through those 12 steps, just like our founders in Alcoholics Anonymous did it in a very short period of time, and you too can identify as being recovered, not cured, but recovered. It's a state of mind, and it's a state of being, actually. We talk about all things recovery here on Recovery Live, and we bring special guests on each week, and we talk different subjects. This week, we're going to be talking a lot about acceptance, and we're continuing that conversation from last week. I want to introduce my co-host, Sean Higgins from Amory, Wisconsin. How's you doing today, Sean?
Oh, it's a lot warmer today, Tom. We got 40 degrees here, topping it off real good. But you know what's crazy? It's going to be -10 tonight. So how do you go from 40 degrees to -10? I mean, if it did that in the summer, I feel like it'd be, wouldn't that be weird if it was going from like 90 to 40 and back to 90? I don't know what the deal is with this winter, but it's been schizophrenic at best. Other than that, just kicking it here, getting ready for the Amory retreat. Excited to talk to our other special guest today, Pam, and start talking about acceptance.
Hey, Sean, that's a really interesting point. Now that we'll get into our science thing. I've never known a summer day to swing 50 or 60 degrees between a day and a night. But in the winter, it can do that. It can swing. It must have maybe there's somebody who's a meteorologic expert out there that can give us the answer to that. We got to have the answers to these questions, right, Sean?
You can do it, man. I believe you. Something's going on with our stream today. I look like way smaller than you. If people ever saw us in real life based on this, it'd be funny for them.
Well, sometimes the personality just makes the picture bigger, Sean. I'm sorry. I'm just coming across bigger today.
Hey, you looked really good in that first video, the hashtag or the I am recovered versus recovering. Taryn Price said she loved it. She is recovered. We got Doc Roth checking in with us from Las Vegas, and Tim Seitz as well said he liked the recovered intro. Ooh, here we go. Recovered in Christmas, Florida.
There's Joe Barker. So we want to let everybody know about this week coming up, Sean. It's an exciting time for Came to Believe Recovery as we are heading out to San Jose, California to present the 12 Steps of Recovery at City Team Homeless Shelter, where we're going to go in there and reach out to some of these people, men and women that are hurting and bring this message of recovery. And we're heading out there Wednesday. And we've been speaking with a bunch of them out there, and the team, the volunteers, everybody out there is so excited. It's really interesting, Sean, that it's so common with us that we meet people all the time who say, why didn't anybody ever tell me this? Right. And so interested in hearing what we talk about, which is, we didn't make it up, right? It's nothing new. It's what the founders were doing.
but even the leaders at City Team, these people that are running homeless shelters, running addiction treatment places and all, who haven't heard that much or have a real negative, actually, attitude towards AA. And that's one of the things they're trying to change, right? Try to bring it back to the way it was.
100%. I just want people to know the truth. You know, I want to know what the full meal deal was and what happened in the beginning, because people don't realize this, but until 1938, if you were an alcoholic, it was pretty much, you know, game over. Wet brain, drink till you're dead, end up on the street. Today, that can still be the case. I mean, it is a powerful disease, but they actually were given an option in 1938 that like skyrocketed. It went from like 0 members to like 35,000 members relatively fast. So like, what was that all about? Then so that's why I'm really excited to pass this message on and let people know that I am recovered. Look at that. Oh, across the screen.
Speaking of that, you know, we're going to be, just to round out our announcements, I guess, we're going to be in San Jose this week, which is really not a one for the public. It's this privately run retreat. But then next weekend, we're going to be in Amory, and it's completely sold out, guys. So this is our problem is we got more people that want to come than we have places for them, but we'll be back at you again with another opportunity to come and hear this message of the founders. A few weeks later, the first weekend in April, we're going to be in Lake Junaluska, which is near Waynesville, North Carolina. That has plenty of opportunities left. Anybody in the North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia area, we'd love to see you out in Lake Junaluska. You could meet the great Steve Foreman and Sue Foreman, who will be there, who are our founders and authors of the Legacy Guide, one of the authors. A couple weeks after that, we're going to be back out in California in Redwood Glen, which is outside San Francisco for a retreat. And then then the next week after that, we're going to be in Leesburg, Florida, doing our home retreat. And then the weekend after that, back in California, Nevada City. So we're going about 4 weeks in a row, guys, out there. It's all on our website. If you want more information, go on the website. If you want to sign up, you can go in and sign up. We'd love to see you. And we're just getting the Prescott retreat together, Sean, for Arizona for July 15th through 17th. I was on the phone with Taryn Price this morning. We're getting ready to roll. So such exciting spring coming.
Couldn't agree more, my man. I'm trying to find the merch file. I'm going to go on without it. But you guys can check out our website to get some merchandise to help support the Came to Believe retreat. We're going to be giving away some merch today. I don't know, Tom, you got your t-shirt on, right? That's one they can't buy. That's
right.
You had to attend the 2018 Amory retreat only, but I got the I Am Recovered. I know Pam's going to be coming on wearing some. What else? So I got the End Addiction, and we got some tumblers and some mugs. You can see let's see if I can do this right there. Right. There. Boom. Coffee mug in the background. So if you type hashtag recovered into the chat, whatever platform you're on, we'll get it. You'll get entered into a drawing. And at the end of the show, we'll give you, what do you think, a coffee mug today?
We could do a coffee mug.
Ooh, where can I buy is a question I see. You go to cametobelieverecovery.org and it'll bring you there, right?
It will. And actually, probably Casera will post the actual link right to the merch page if she can. That would be great. And you can buy a bunch of stuff. We have everything, and it really does support us, guys. Like we say, we're presenting this message in California at the City Teams for free to the participants. It's something we really want to be able to do to those that can't afford to come to a retreat. And really, at the retreats, all that we charge for is the housing and the food, with enough to cover expenses. We're just wanting to put the message up. But when we go and actually do it for free, it's not free though to put on, but it is free to the participants. So any kind of support to help us is greatly appreciated. It all goes to helping another addict or alcoholic get their jump start and live that happy, joyous, and free life in the go like us today.
Oh, she loves it. It's almost like we paid her to do that. Like when we start talking about it, but where can I buy? I bet you if we ask Casera nicely, she'll drop that link down in the comment section, so you can just click right on it.
Oh, Lisa did, so we can. Oh yeah, now
Very
it's on
good.
there twice. Sean, you could put that up for people to see. It's in the comment section. There we go. Lisa's on back today in the background.
Yeah, she was the OG, the original wizard behind the screen.
What's the OG?
Original gangster. That's what that stands for. It's a slang term that the young children are using today.
Do you like that, Lisa? OG, you were the original gangster, and she can hear us. Let's see if she puts a comment in. And now, the new gangster is who, Sarah?
I don't like how you do this to me. I'm trying to
pick on you to get you.
I hear something. I'm trying to be hip. I'm trying to make the show more youthful. Keep the kids see your gray hair. They want to just pass right on by on the YouTube feed. But I'm saying, like, let's bring them in. I can't talk till I got some in my beard. So, let's see who's checking in with us that we haven't seen already. We got Have a Blessed Day from Arkansas. Nice. It's home state of Bill Clinton. This is her again. Good morning, y'all. Hello, family. We got Bob Solom checking in. Danielle. I'd say it's going to be a fun show. It's a good morning to kind of get going, right? I mean, we're starting the weekend. We got all sorts of fun stuff coming up in the next couple months with Came to Believe. We got interest of a new retreat in Kansas City. I know my boy Tim is watching. If he's not watching now, he's going to watch this evening. So we got the Kansas City area starting to get on board with Came to Believe. So I'm excited. And I'm also excited about the guests today. Pam Reiger could blackmail me into doing almost anything because she knows all my dirty little secrets because she's my spiritual mama. She's also a big help in the program. It kind of brings up a topic, a little side note. People say I got one sponsor, but don't you think you're robbing yourself if I don't call everybody who mentors me my sponsor, but don't you think you're robbing yourself if you don't have a plethora of experienced people in the program giving you advice on a regular basis?
I have an inner circle of people that I do bounce things off of. 3 or 4 people I think that are mentors, sponsors, advisors. I think it's exactly right, Sean. You got a few people, and
I got a little bit of a thought
just call your one sponsor once in a while. That's that
he's too hard on me. He's too tough. Here's my thought process on the whole deal. You didn't just have one dealer. Because if he was out, you had to go somewhere else. You know what I mean? You had a circle of dealers if you were a good drug addict. So you might as well have a circle of mentors and sponsors.
Yeah, but just as long as you're not going around just to find the one that'll tell you what you want to hear. That's the thing. And to let you believe in it. And to talk about Pam, of course, she could. I don't know if she could blackmail me, but she probably could. We've known each other a long time. I was just thinking about it when you were talking in the Came to Believe family of the original people. I think I know Pam longer than anybody else that I ever met in Came to Believe that's around today. Maybe John Zamrock, I knew him ahead of time. But Pam and I met Pam before I met the Foremans or any of those people. We met out in Wisconsin. Those are the days, right? Why don't we bring Pam on and welcome her to the show today? We're talking about her, and she doesn't even get to come on.
Usually people are going to think she's really in this whole thing to get blackmail on people. Everyone's like, Pam could blackmail me. Pam could get me to do it. No one's going to want to talk to Pam after that.
Right. Or they're all going to want to talk to Pam.
Yeah, they want to know this. They want to know the dirt. But there isn't any dirt when we live in 10, 11, and 12, huh? Because we clean it up. We clean it up and move on.
Clean it up. That could be another t-shirt.
Yeah. Hashtag let's clean it up.
It's clean. Oh, there we go.
You remember those days, Pam, back, and it was like 92 or 3 or 4 when we met, right? It was one of those years.
It was 1993, I believe I met you.
Right.
My first retreat was in 1990, and my life was changed. And and we had a wonderful time at that retreat.
I remember that was a good one.
Yeah, God was doing for us what we couldn't do for ourselves.
I started kindergarten in 94, I think is when it was. So you guys really have some history going there.
Pam and I have forgotten more stuff than you know.
Yeah.
My
do.
favorite story about Pam, I got to share this from one of the retreats. We were out in the Osceola retreat, and she was. There were some ruffians there. There were some people that were having a tough time.
Mhm.
Praise God, they came back around at the end. But when we were leaving for lunch, I went with Pam. I was driving her, and Pam rolled down the window. She goes, "Oh, there's," and I can't remember the girl's name. "Oh, there's Lisa," and she's like, "Hey, Lisa, how's it going?" Lisa sticks a big middle finger in the air. "F you, Pam," and Pam's like, "Oh, she's just having a hard time," and we just rode off and went to lunch. And then later in that weekend, Lisa came with hypothetical Lisa came back
Yeah.
around and
Yeah.
and actually accepted the program and had her life changed. So I decided Pam just kept the smile on her face. No offense, just oh, poor girl. Like after this, so that's like burned in my head as who Pam Reiger is, I think, to the Came to Believe world and to the recovery world. So
yeah. Well, that's how they accepted me right where I was at when I went to my first retreat. I
I have a hard
thinking-
time believing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
I feel like you just were this way your whole life.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you're lying to us about even having used.
Yeah. Well,
just
I
an
think
angel.
my parents are watching, so they know what the truth is. Even my brothers. Yeah. I wish well, I can't change the past, can I? But God has done for me what I couldn't do for myself. And today, my family is proud of me, and they respect me and honor me. And that's because of the program. Came to Believe, what they taught me about living in the goal, steps 10, 11, and 12. And that we're not perfect. We just show up. And when I do make mistakes, I say, I'm sorry. And then I ask God, in step 11, my prayer and meditation, I ask God, show me what I can do different. Show me how I can react or change me so that I don't have to keep doing this. And so he's done it, 32 years later.
Yay.
Well, we could just drop the mic on that, huh, Sean?
Yeah,
we
could be.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so excited. 32 years of no drinking or drugs, or seeing things and hearing things. I mean, oh my gosh. Yes. And living in fear, right?
You're a great reason why we got to make sure we continue to share our step one story, though, because if people only see you today, they only see you as you are today, they're never going to believe they can actually get there. But if you talk the lingo and the language and you let them know that you understand the suffering they're going through and have been there, that's really what opens the door for them to have a step two experience of like, wow, if Pam was like this and now she's not, and she says it's all about these steps she took and giving her life over to her higher power in step 3, then I can have that too, And so it's really important that we remember that, because we can get recovered, and next thing you know, we're not really reaching out to the newcomer like we're supposed to be in step 12. I got to fact check something here on you, Pam. You got to let me know if this is a true comment or not. Tim Seitz claims he went to high school with you. Is that accurate?
He did. He did. And I was in Oatman Junior High and he was in Park Junior High, and us girls had crushes on Tim and his buddies. We would walk by the football field, hoping they'd see us, But by the time I got to Park Senior High in 10th grade, we went to the same school. I was supposed to go to school. I never even made it through 10th grade. I started using at 13, and by the time I was 15, going on 16, I dropped out of school, and my whole life just changed. And I was a thief. I was running with I was not good.
You're
And
breaking my heart, Pam.
Yeah, it broke my dad and mom's heart, and my brothers. I was running away. They didn't know if I was alive or dead, and I would be gone for weeks at a time. So yeah, it was tough. I made some really hard choices, but today I can tell you I have graduated from high school.
Nice.
My life has changed. I mean, Tom, he went to college.
Yeah, I went to college, got it done, and
Yeah.
You know, you hear these stories, guys, for everyone out in the audience, and I'm the same way. I don't know how can you even think about Pam being that way, right? If you're so, but we all had stories like that. It's a testament to what the program can do, and how if you do this thing that our founders did, you too can have these opportunities in your life. In the coming weeks, we're going to be, Game to Believe Recovery. We say that we reach out to the least, the less, and the lost. We say that we meet you where you're at. And there's a lot of great conversations that we're going to have about the idea of meeting people where they're at, and how that looks in different ways in the world today, and how that all still fits into the mission of radical grace. And Sean and I were talking about it, and even Casera and us were talking about it yesterday about what does that look like, and that we got to be careful about. There we go, reckless grace, about putting ourselves in a box and saying that this is, what is the only way, or those. So it's going to be so interesting in the coming weeks, guys, and we hope you stay tuned for the things, as we want to talk to everybody about everything.
It's hard,
we
it's
know
hard to
what
not
worked
get
for us.
going on it now.
Huh?
Can I
It's hard to
share
not.
something?
Oh, I'll let Pam go. You go,
I
Pam.
just want to share something, because I know I met Tom in 1993 and stuff. Really, to be honest with you, I didn't know what I was doing. But you guys kept telling me, just do this, just keep doing this, do step 10, 11, and 12, hang around with the winners, Mary Jo Robinson. She was one of the leaders of the pack, I should say. And she was my spiritual mom. And she says, Pam, just keep coming. And she goes, and if I had a bad day, she would ask me, she goes, Pam, did you use today? And I said, no. She goes, well, that's your victory. Just keep coming. And that's what I want to tell the people is, I remember in those early stages of recovery, and just having God do for me what I couldn't do for myself. And you guys were teaching me things and saying, it's okay, you made a mistake. Just come back, just fall down, come, let us love you, and just come back. And you guys, I watched you guys, and you taught me to be who I am, and accept it, right? Accepting. So I thank you guys. Thank you for showing up.
She's talking to you, man. I wasn't there.
I know. We want to talk about, it's funny, this accepting of us, of all these different aspects of acceptance. Last week we were talking about, right, accepting ourselves, and you and I, Sean, had a perspective on it because of our addiction, of accepting the things that we were or weren't, and how it changed, and it caused us to act a certain way. And then Casera came on, and she had a different perspective as what we call, quote unquote, a normie of acceptance, but totally appropriate and good. There's all sorts of categories of acceptance that we have to, analyze, I think. But let's keep it going today in this conversation about acceptance and what it means to us in our lives today.
I was just reading that, Sean. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it's because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact in my life unacceptable to me. And I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being the exact way it's supposed to be at this moment. And it goes on to say this too. Absolutely nothing happens in God's world by mistake. Until I could accept my alcoholism or addiction, whatever it is, I could not stay sober. Unless I accepted life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. I need to concentrate not so much what needs to be changed in Tom or Sean in the world as what needs to be changed in me and my attitude. What I just want to share this. When I first got in the program, my mom was recovered from her disease. And that's the first thing she taught me. She would have this on the refrigerator for all of us kids to see. So that when we were struggling, she'd say, read that. And when I got my job and stuff, I would have it in my locker. So I would read that.
We talked about as much as it's got its benefits, and I do agree with some of it. We talked last week. I'm pretty strongly opposed to the comment, though, that nothing happens in God's world by mistake, because a loving God, in my opinion, would never want someone to get raped or killed, or all that is not his intention. So it kind of gives you this idea, like, well, it's just what God wanted. Well, no, that's not what God wanted. And sometimes I'm not going to accept things or people the way they are because I want to believe for them to be better. But I can't get codependent and let it steal my joy.
Right.
Do you think acceptance has a line to judgment? When we talk about, like, we're accepting things, is that it may have more of a line to that we're just not judging things the way we used to? We're accepting that things are the way they are, and we can change it and all, but it's a lack of judgment. I think I find that as a big deal today, that I try not to judge others. I mean, when people are, not agreeing with me, like Pam and Sean, or which you hardly happens, I just have to be okay with them being wrong. And that's it, that's acceptance. And I don't judge them. They're just wrong. What am I supposed to do?
So in this, how does, we talked about this last week, but I thought it was a great conversation. How does that tie into the serenity prayer when we're just called to accept the things that we can't change? But once we realize we can change them, then we got to ask for the courage to do it. And then we pray for the wisdom to know which one is which. I think it's a 3-part thing. And I think when we only focus, like, if we only focused on courage, go out and change everything, that's bad. If you only focus on acceptance, then you become passive. So courage would be aggressive. Accepting everything would be passive. You gotta have the wisdom to know which one to be in that moment, because it's not black or white. Sometimes it's gray.
So it goes into this line of what we're doing. We've redefined our characters. We now have a God that's helping us. We have him looking at how we want to live our lives, and we want to live towards those assets, right? So now we have this ability to judge situations with like a scale. And that judgment, Sean, I think falls right into the serenity prayer to say, okay, that's something I can't change. So I got to let it go. I got to just deal with it. That's acceptance. Then there's something that I can change. And there's an acceptance part to that, I think, don't you? To accept the fact that I can't sit still anymore. I got to go do it. And then know the difference. It's truly one of the gifts and the promises.
Yeah.
In step 9, it says, right, we intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us, which is the whole thing. Handle them, which is either handle them, don't handle them, or change them.
I got a real simple concept on this. When I would leave for work late and I get on the highway and start cussing at everybody because they're not going fast enough so I can get to work on time. And I blame them because they're not driving fast enough. And then all of a sudden, God's like, knock, knock, Pam. Maybe you should leave 5 minutes earlier and then you won't be cussing everybody out. And maybe you need to look at yourself instead of blaming the neighbor or the driver next to you. It's a real simple concept, but instead of blaming everybody else for, what I'm doing, I have to look at my own behavior and show up 5 minutes early.
But see, you were able to accept that kind of guidance, right? That you were getting now. Yeah. You said, I'm open to it. You're right, God. I got to make my change.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm the same way, Pam.
Well, I didn't know it was my fault until really. Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, in how many years did I do it that way until all of a sudden the light bulb came on and said, you know what? You can leave 5 minutes early. I mean, talk about it.
When it comes to being in traffic, if you ever get a chance to ride with Steve Foreman, you are going to get an education.
Oh,
because it's quite fun to be with Steve Foreman in traffic. Actually, it's not so fun to be with me too. There's a switch that turns in me in traffic that I just try not to get switched, Pam, like you. I want to go leave early or whatever. But these are like our whole life, these things. And we put ourselves a lot of times into the places. This is where this judgment thing, this is where this new attitude we have in our new way of living, like step 10 says, as we commence this way of living, allows us to navigate this and more we do less and less of the things that are aggravate us, and more of the things that just lead to success.
Yeah.
Interesting thing in comparing the two, the acceptance is the key to all our problems against the serenity prayers. Neither one of those are in the big book, original big book. And, neither one of those are biblically supported either, outside of, the serenity prayer wasn't written until early 1900s. And, the acceptance is the key to our answers wasn't put in the big book till the 4th edition. So, I guess there's a lot of gray area to debate this as well on whether or not, or, maybe we're just pulling hairs, but, I just don't like when people just throw their hands up and say, well, that's just God's world. Nothing happens by mistake. Well, I guess there's nothing we can do about it. I didn't study for the test and I failed, but that's just what God wanted. Well, what would happen if you studied,
Right, Sean. And we can encourage people to be the best who they are. And we can say, hey, why don't you show up here? Let me work. Let's do step 10, 11, and 12. Let's go through it and stuff like that. And we want this world to be better. It's not like we don't when we want to show up. But where the acceptance come in is so that we, as our own person, we don't get spiritually sick, physically sick, and emotionally sick, because once we try to control that other person or control the shooting across the street or whatever it is, once we try to control that, and it can overtake us, and what happens is our anger, our resentment, our perfectionism, whatever character defect, it starts sliding in there. And then we're not doing God's will, right? We're trying to run the show ourselves. So you're absolutely right. God doesn't want people to be murdering each other or raping each other. You are that is right. But what this is trying to tell us is, okay, how can I walk in radical grace? How can I look at the person across the street, my drug dealer, and just say, good morning, and hope that he sees that hope in me, that one day he'll come to me and say, you know what, Pam, you say hi to me all the time. You say good morning, you're waving, you're smiling. What is it about you? And I can say, hey, guess what? I went to a Came to Believe retreat in 1990. I have been drug-free ever since. And God has done for me what I couldn't do for myself. Hey, do you want to hook up? Do you want to go to a meeting? I can get you on Zoom. There's meetings available. So that's how that works. It's not accepting the evil where evil is. It's learning how to walk in grace like our higher power did.
It's really interesting, though, if you go, I've been kind of popping on the dictionary.com definition of this. There's not like a straight definition of the way that we're using it in the big book. There's a lot. It's like the act of accepting. If you go to accepting, it's to receive something offered willingly, to be able or designed to take or hold something applied or added, to give admittance or approval to endure without protest or reaction. I guess that'd be interesting. Just something for our viewers to dig into. Look up acceptance and see what the actual definition is, and if you can find something that is more connected than I'm finding, because I thought that was curious. That's the only reason I brought it up.
Yeah, Sean, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to say this too. My mom had to accept me as I was a drug addict, alcoholic, hanging around with some thugs. I mean, I was a thug too. Please, no disrespect to thugs, because I was there, right?
Yeah.
But my mom had to accept that. But the secret of is she was on her knees that night praying for me, right? So when the door was knocking, and all of a sudden I was able to surrender. She loved me through it, Sean. She loved me through it. She would let me come home. I'd be gone months at a time. She would let me come home sleep in my bed, and then go back out there, and she would have no idea where I was. But she loved me.
I actually was able to find something.
Okay.
Able or willing to accept something or someone, inclined to regard something or someone with acceptance rather than with hostility or fear. And then I don't know why the often popped on there, but
I like that.
yeah, that's actual. When I finally got into the right spot, that's the actual definition of accepting. And then acceptance is the act of accepting. So
But
makes
I think,
sense.
Sean, that one of the things you said was acceptance. I think I heard you say approval somewhere. And I think that's, in some ways, that can be trouble where that leads into that, oh, this is God's will. So we just approve it. This is where God wanted this to happen. And that whole thing about will and God's will and our will and turning your will and all, we had a discussion about that this week. And I did some definition searching on the will. So maybe one of these days we'll talk about that, because it's in the same, conversation is, if we're accepting it, are we accepting that as God's will? And that whole thing about turning our will over, and does God pull strings, and can we get in and out of relationship with him with that, taking our will back and putting it in? It's really interesting. And it's something to talk about when you hear people new in recovery and being able to grasp some of these concepts.
Yeah.
Well, and it is really, it's why it's extremely important that we stay in step 11. If we're not in step 11, then because there are times when it's going to be radical compassion that looks like enabling. And there's going to be times when it's hard-nosed, like very conservative, not giving an inch because that's what you need, So thought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. See, we need to know what his will is in the situation, to pray into that, to ask for a little bit of insight, because one guy might need, you might have two different people show up at your doorstep needing a place to stay. One guy, it might be that God's will is that he comes in and you do give him a place. And one guy, it might be to say, nah, you can't crash here. It all depends. The big book has stories of saying, this guy, you might be an alcoholic. Well, we don't coddle him. They say, go out and see, here's some money, go drink. That might be what you have to do for somebody. It might be the one thing that drove them into recovery, but loving somebody in a tough situation might also be the one thing that drove them into recovery. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. And you have to be very discerning in the moment to know what you're supposed to do. And the only way you can do that is through step 11. There's no like hard, fast rule in this stuff. It's different case by case basis.
It really is.
But it's about, Dale Barker puts this up, and I was going to mention this, thanks Dale, is the proper use of the will, right? So the idea that we learn to let our will come in conformity to what God would want, which was by studying his word and even just doing what the steps tell us, right? But it's still us doing the action. We're still doing it. We have to make that step. The proper use of the will.
The proper use of the will. And what can we say? Right now, I'll just share with you is I'm going through a really difficult time. My father is transitioning, and we had to put him into a safe place to take care of him. And I know it's not God's will that, my dad is, his body is giving up on him and stuff like that. His body's attacking him and stuff. But one thing I do know about God's will is God does want me to show up and love him and give him encouraging words. And I can be the daughter that I wasn't when I was in my mess, right?
That makes sense.
I'm so grateful. I was thinking about this, guys, before I came on. I was thinking, boy, could you imagine if I was using drugs and going through this, transition with my dad and my family? My family would have to worry about my dad, and then they'd have to worry about me. And what is she going to do next? Well, now they don't have to. They can know I can show up, And right now, my brother Paul is sitting with my dad, and my dad's not the same. but we're there loving him, helping him go through this. And that's what the program taught us, because my brother Paul, he brought me to my first retreat in 1990. His first retreat, I think, it was either 88 or 89. And then he brought me and my sponsor. So, I mean, I'm so blessed. I am so blessed that I'm
100%.
able to be able to walk through this with you guys, because I know that I couldn't do it by myself. So I'm really grateful that I have you guys.
So to play the devil's advocate here, which is something I love to do sometimes, and
He
to throw some
does.
things out there, is, where do we draw the line? Where does unconditional love and unconditional acceptance end? Let's pick a hot button topic for the day. Am I just to accept somebody who's racist being around me and saying racist things and being a racist in front of me? Is that something that I should accept and pour unconditional love on him in that moment? I know Jesus still would, but it's tough. It's a tough thing to decide. What about pedophilia? Is that something that I'm just supposed to accept and say, like, that's the key? The key to my problems is accepting that nothing happens in God's world by mistake. I mean, this is just for the sake of discussion. That's why I thought I'd bring it out there. I think this will stir us up. And what are they talking about in those moments if we use the word in those situations?
Can I say something? Because yes, Jesus loved them, but he said, don't do it anymore. Come with me and don't do it anymore. And if they continued to do that, Jesus kept walking, right? He didn't wait for them. He still loved them. He let them choose their own direction, right? But he kept walking to go tell everybody else who would receive his grace to follow me, right? Mary Jo Robinson used to say this to me, because I went to a lot of Came to Believe meetings, and I would cry when some of the guys or the women would just leave. I've had it. I'm not listening to this. And I would cry. And Mary Jo, she took my hand. She goes, Pam, she goes, stay for the ones that stay. Tell them the truth and pray for the ones that just left so that they can come back.
So that's a great definition and or great answer, and exactly kind of what I've been thinking in this whole thing is, like, you offer it, and if they don't want it, you got to go to the next person who does. Because if you spend time working with someone who doesn't want it, then you're missing out on finding the person who actually does want it and is going to become free. But like I said, it's a tough conversation, because you don't want to leave anyone behind. You don't want to leave anyone in the dust. But there is enough resources and groups out there that once you find out what it is for you, like, for instance, I know Casera really is lights up when it comes to what does she call it? Harm prevention or harm reduction. Harm reduction. So there are people that feel called to harm reduction. So they should be doing harm reduction. And then there's people like me who are called to catching them at the end where they're ready to do anything and they're in the gift of desperation. So I should be meeting them there. As long as people are actually going out and doing what they're supposed to be doing and not making everybody look like everyone else, we should have a full spectrum of humanity meeting broken humanity in its place. And that is one of the biggest things I like to, if you don't get lit up about harm reduction, but you get lit up about the gift of desperation and meeting someone at the very end of that and introducing them into something that's going to take them the next level, you don't get to claim the prize, because Sarah might have been doing harm reduction with this or her group for years that finally got them in the door. But if we work together, some are planting seeds, some are harvesting. And if you find out what it is in you by doing step 11 that causes you to come alive when helping somebody, and stop being anti what Casera is doing, just be pro what you're supposed to be doing. Next thing you know, we're casting a very wide net, boom, and bringing in a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right. And it's also that they accept what we're doing, as this possible solution once that time comes. I like Taryn Price says, who said that you can't lead a horse to water? You can't make them drink. Taryn says you can't make the horse thirsty either. Well, that's a that's pretty profound, right? You
That's
can't make
really
them.
good.
It's one thing to lead them or make them drink, but what if they're not even thirsty? Which
Well, you might
leads
catch
to
me trying to pour a jar of Morton salt down its throat.
well, this leads into that radical grace and meeting people really where they're at. And if you get into this harm reduction, you get to this place where if they're not even thirsty, you're not even leading them to water yet. So
Right.
let's still be loving on them where they are and get them to a place where maybe they'll be thirsty somewhere down the road, and keep them alive, keep them
Yeah.
fed, keep them loved, like Pam just loving the drug dealer. Let's just meet their basic needs, keep them going,
Yeah.
and hope that they get thirsty one day.
Yeah.
And so that does fit, Sean. You're right. And then come to us. We're the experts at that, at this piece of what recovery is.
Yeah.
If you want this thing that AA does, we can do this.
Yeah.
If they choose something else, there's a lot of other things that have worked. We just got to be ready, I think, Olaf's, and open to all of it. We're going to have these conversations coming up and bring some people on that really that can talk about all this stuff. It's going to be really, it's going to be great.
I'm pretty excited.
And I love when we get into discussions like this too, because I'm not necessarily sold on any one way of, like, with the word acceptance. I don't have like the capital T truth in this matter, but I do see people abuse statements and use them to get out of things, and just to kind of shed some light on, like, what is this actually saying? And, and you can only come to those realizations by having multiple perspectives going in, because you don't know what the author meant by that. And frankly, if you're writing a personal story in the back, it's just a personal story. It might not be, I might not agree with you at all or the way you went about it, but it's still your story. It still matters to that person, and some people resonate with it. But for me, I've seen that page 417 used out of context so many times that it's just good that we discuss these things.
Yes.
I mean, almost as bad as God as we understood him, right?
Yeah.
And used completely incorrectly. Has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the God they understood. Hey, what about our hashtag recovered, our giveaway? We got anybody, Sean? How are we building up there?
Well, here's the thing. I saw a lot of them come in the beginning, and then when I went to look, I realized I hadn't started it. So if you
All good.
if you put it in earlier, make sure you put it in now. Get that hashtag recovered going. One person is in, but I saw at least 5 or 6 of you put on there. So get hashtag recovered in the comment section for your chance to win that free coffee tumbler mug thing. What do you call it when it's a mug, and what do you call it when it's like the Yeti thing? Like this.
Well, they call them tumblers when you.
What's this?
Like,
a water bottle? Tell me the difference between the two. Enlighten me.
Well, the tumbler allows it to be a water bottle or a coffee bottle or anything. So, like a real water bottle thing, you wouldn't put hot coffee in, right? But that you can.
Why wouldn't you
does
put
it
coffee in this?
Yeah, it doesn't tumble like a tumbler. That's my thing, right? How does somebody know why it's called a tumbler? Because I want to know what tumbles.
Why wouldn't you put coffee in this though? It's same deal.
Why would I put coffee in that? Because
why wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would put coffee in that. It's best for hot drinks, actually.
What about this one then?
It's the same thing. It works.
Yeah, it's the
for hot
same.
drinks.
It's the
No,
same.
this one has a
just
clear
different
plastic
lid.
top. This one has the water bottle style.
It's just
One, I think you can put a straw in. The other one you can't.
well, I like. There you go.
There we go.
Throw
I'm
it
just
down
going
the
to have
hill,
to
it'll tumble.
accept.
Doc Roth. That's called being a smart. You know what he says? Throw it down the hill and it'll tumble.
Let's see.
Hey guys, next week it's going to be really great. We'll be coming to you live from California. Sean, you realize that we'll be doing Recovery Live from San Jose next week. You and I will be at the retreat. We'll be getting ready to go in and meet those people at City Teams and bring this life-saving message. Dale Barker will be with us. We're going to have a whole team of California volunteers. We'll have people on talking about it. Next week it's going to be a remote presentation of Recovery Live. You excited? That
I
seem
just-
excited.
Figure
You
it
guys,
out.
I
More
just-
excited, and she's not even going on this.
I'm excited for you guys, and I have a family member that's homeless out there, so I'm hoping that they're going to be meeting you. I'm gonna pray that all week. And yeah, I'm gonna call my friend and family and say, start praying so that he can show up and he'll be there and he'll meet these great people and he'll get recovered. So yeah.
So
I've got some insight. I've got some insight on this. This being cylinder all the way around is not a tumbler. That's not. A tumbler has to have straight sides. This has some straight sides on it. See that? That's a tumbler. So tumbler, cylinder thing.
All right. Well, look what Lisa put in. She found a definition. Let's look at Lisa's definition. Put it up, Sean. This is the definition. Right. So
am I supposed to read this? It's in the 17th century. It was a cup with a rounded or pointed bottom. If you set it down without draining the contents, it would tumble over and spill your beverage. The word itself comes from tumble, first recorded in English in the early 14th century, from the Germanic word for acrobat. I'm going to call fake news.
I love
fake news. Fake news, Lisa.
She couldn't have made that up.
It sounds like some snappy stuff to me.
Well, I'm going to use that at a party one day, right? That's it. There we go. Well, we're near the end now. How many we got, Sean? You want to do let's see how many are unrecovered.
Oh yeah. We got some good stuff going on. I'll pull her up. I'll hit the draw and we'll get her rocking and rolling. Boom. Look at that.
Oh, Cecily's there. Oh, look at all the people. Oh.
Doc Rock! You gotta wait till all the just take it all in, Doc. You are a winner today. You're a winner every day in my book.
We love
Look at that confetti go. Doc, don't forget it. February 11th, 2022. Winner.
February 11th, 2022.
You guys, this is my mom's sobriety day.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
I don't know how many. She died in 1993, but okay, she had 8 years of sobriety before she died.
So. He is pumped. Doc Roth is pumped.
Look, Cecily showed up.
I know, it's Cecily.
I see Cecily on the show. That's so
Steve
great.
Olsen, he is the radical grace man. I'm telling you, that guy knows how to give grace. And Taryn,
I'm going to remember today as the day that Lisa lied to us about what a tumbler was. That's
boy.
Wow.
Hey, did you guys see that? Dale
That's
said
poking the bear, Sean.
I saw that. Dale said he liked me. I was the kind of girl he liked. That's what he said. But then he did tell me he's married. Pam, you were the girl I was looking for back then.
I did
the
see
crazy
that.
one.
I did see that.
He must have been as sick as me.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm going to let, I think we should say goodbye to Pam for the day. Pam, it's been absolutely wonderful having you on.
Thanks for inviting me, guys.
Hey, if somebody out there resonated with you, how would they get a hold of you? Put your information in the comment section and we could have Casera and Lisa get that over to you. I mean, you'd be open to, you're open to helping a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
What are your specialties?
Absolutely.
What if they wanted to reach out to you for something, what should it be?
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Anything?
Anything.
You want to go out for pizza, you call Pam. I know for a fact she's a real big supporter for the CODA program in the area. She really helps people struggling with codependency, as well as women in addiction and alcoholism. She is well versed in biblical activities and can help you understand that better. And at any stage of your life, if Pam's resonated with you today, put it in the comment section, or you can send us a private message if you don't want anyone to see it. We'll make sure that information gets to Pam, and we'll make sure she gets in your life, because everybody could use a little Pam in their life. Can I get an amen, Tom?
Amen. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you later, Pam.
Bye, guys. I love you.
Thanks for coming in. Well, you cut her off when she said it. That's it.
I had to cut her off. We're running out of time, Tom.
Yeah.
We're on these. Our audience needs to get out of here at noon.
Yeah. Well, we're touching some good subjects. I love the conversation today. We had a lot of great feedback from people. People like the conversation. There are important things we should be talking about. And again, I'm really excited about what's going to be happening here in the future. And next week's going to be great, coming to everybody live. So I hope you guys reach. It'll be 9 a.m. out there, Sean, for us. So we'll be doing it. Yeah. Can you get?
Yeah.
You go. We got to get to the gym with Alicia Martinez. We're supposed to be going to the gym first, and then we're going to do it. But that's it for today. We got a great day. It's 60 degrees here in New Jersey, so I'm hoping to get a walk on outside. Sean, you better get outside before the 10 below hits you again. And we're off and running out there, helping at least the last and the lost to find their way. Take us out, Sean.
I just want to put this up one more time because I really it's not going to let me. There we go. Winner, Doc Roth. Woo! Just to pump them up one more time. All right. So see you later, Tom. Hey, thank you for tuning in. I'm Sean. Spread the message of just the way the founders did it. I mean, AA was supposed to be a life-changing program. Taking the steps was supposed to be something that turned you into a radically new creation and sent you off in the fourth dimension of existence. And if that hasn't been your experience with the 12 steps of Alcoholics, words are hard. If that has not been your experience with the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, well, we'd like to change that for you. So check us out at cametobelieverecovery.org. You can get all your information there for upcoming retreats, upcoming meetings, and upcoming events that aren't either one of those. So thanks for joining us today, and we will catch you next Friday.